Hello again, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Now, before we get started, every single week I like to do a giveaway for you guys, and alongside this, I'm giving away 3 copies of Destiny 2. So if you're excited about that and you want to enter in for any of those giveaways, the details are on the screen now. All you have to do is pause the video, read the instructions, and enter in for the giveaways. Now, to get into this awesome Destiny 2 experience, we're talking about all of the available swords so far showcased in the gameplay reveals and promotional advertisement for Destiny 2, thanks to our good pals at Bungie. Now, the very first one that's obvious is going to be the self-res styled Sunsinger Warlock. That's the new subclass for the Warlock, because we all know Warlocks no longer have self-res, but they do have this awesome flaming sword. They can float up in the sky and actually slash the sword across the air and shoot down fire upon their enemies, dealing a tremendous amount of damage. And I'm really excited to use it because, as we all know, my personal favorite class is the Warlock since day one Destiny experience. The next sword that we want to talk about is a legendary sword, most likely, and that's due to the fact that the Titan in the live stream had a sword on his back and was using the Sunshot, which is the exotic hand cannon. So since he was already wielding an exotic, we can actually kind of speculate that the sword on his back is a legendary weapon. Now, this actually popped up in the live stream in a split second, so if you blinked while watching the live stream, you may have missed this weapon. But don't worry, we have the footage here for you on recap and in slow motion for you to notice the beautiful sword on this Titan's back. And as you can see, it's got a really distinct blade on it. It's also got a red design and a white wrapping next to the handle. I kind of thought at first on seeing this sword that it was a Fallen based weapon, but since the Destiny 2 experience is majorly Cabal based, I actually think it might be a Cabal weapon instead, or at least a weapon designed by the Guardians from the new European Dead Zone, which is going to be our newfound house, or home, or homeland, if you will, because we all know the tower is now gone. Now, moving on to the next sword is going to be a katana being wielded by the hunter. Now, this might be the first glimpse in the very first class-based weapon for the heavy weapon sword. Now, as we all know, the power slot is the new heavy weapon slot, and swords are going to be paired up with sniper rifles, shotguns, fusion rifles, rocket launchers, machine guns, and a bunch of new weapons like grenade launchers, which is pretty awesome. So, with the katana, this hunter is wielding. It's wielded like a ninja, and as we all know, the hunter is more of a ninja-based subclass, and they like to jump around and be very stealthy. So the katana fits really well with this hunter. Now, I'm not too sure if this katana is an exotic-based weapon or if it's an ability-based weapon, because maybe it's actually a new super for the hunters, and we're not too sure about that. But it is a katana-styled weapon, and they are walking with it in one of the segments, and they're also jumping around with it and slashing around with it. So it seems like a hunter-based weapon. It might actually be hunter-specific, which would be really cool to have specific swords dedicated to specific classes, kind of like the Steel Piercer or the Amobius shotgun from Destiny 2, along with the fusion rifle for the Warlocks, obviously. But there might actually be more class-based weapons in Destiny 2 moving in the future. Instead of just 1 or 2 weapons being class-based, we might actually see a multitude of weapons being class-based due to this sword just featured in the livestream reveal. The next weapon that I want to talk about is going to be the Iron Lord sword that they feature a Titan slamming down on enemies in the Crucible with. I was actually really impressed to see this sword pop up again because it really does look like the Iron Lord sword, the Young Wolf's Howl from Destiny 1's experience in Rise of Iron, but we all know that a lot of the exotics from the Year 1 Destiny experience aren't transferring over to Destiny 2. So is this in fact an exotic Young Wolf's Howl, or is it a new exotic Iron Lord sword, or in fact, is this sword actually a legendary version of the Iron Lord's weapon? We all know that we all became Iron Lords in Destiny 1, and moving over to the Destiny 2 experience, I expect most Guardians in Destiny 2 to still be considered Iron Lords. So I'm actually really wondering how they're going to tie that into the story and whether or not Guardians will actually have Iron Lord swords available in D2. It's just a really cool thing to think about, but ultimately this sword definitely looks like an Iron Lord's Young Wolf's Howl, and I'm really excited to see what in fact it actually is coming into Destiny 2. Moving on to the next sword is the Sword Deluxe Edition, which is basically the sword available in the Digital Deluxe, which if you pre-order Destiny 2, you will get digital content, and one of which is an emote, a emblem, and then you also get the expansion passes 1 and 2, but you also get this really cool looking sword. Now it's going to be a legendary sword, it's not going to be exotic, so don't worry, it's not going to be too overpowered, but in fact it might be our Guardian's first look at the very first sword object that we'll have in the game, unless you're a Sun Singer Warlock. I mean, if you are a Warlock, then obviously the first sword that you use is probably going to be your super. But this sword will be our actual weapon slotted sword, and probably the first one that we get to wield in the game. Then there's Lord Shaxx. Lord Shaxx showcased the raised lighter on his back. The very first glimpse of an actual exotic from Destiny 1 being featured in Destiny 2. Now, I'm not too sure, but it'd be really cool if Lord Shaxx handed us the raised lighter in Destiny 2 when we did a specific mission in the storyline. That's actually a really cool thought and speculation, and it could happen, but most likely it's just Shaxx's specific weapon, because we all know that the Ace of Spades is coming back in Destiny 2 as well, and that's being wielded by Cayde 6, and raised lighter is a specific exotic weapon always being wielded by Lord Shaxx. We were just lucky enough to use it in Destiny 1, but in fact it's actually Lord Shaxx's primary weapon. Or not primary weapon, but it's his primary heavy weapon of choice. Lord Shaxx just likes swords, and the raised lighter is his specific exotic of choice. So yeah, that's basically a little bit of a recap on Lord Shaxx himself, but ultimately really cool to see all these swords popping up. These are all the swords so far showcased in the Destiny 2 experience, and if you all enjoyed this video, drop a like, share it with your friends, and also leave some comments down below. If you have any thoughts of future ideas for videos of Destiny 2, leave that in the comment section, and it's also a perfect time to subscribe for future Destiny 2 content. If you haven't already, press that subscribe button, and as always, stay violent, be privileged.
Oh, hi. VBG isn't here right now, but I guess you enjoyed the content. So over there's the logo you can click on. That will allow you to subscribe. More content up there, and behind the scenes daily content over here on the vlog channel. There you go. Enjoy!